Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, the Vought F4U-4B Corsair is one of my favorite aircraft in War Thunder. It has a high top speed, it's pretty maneuverable, and it hits hard. Let's get into it. The Vought F4U Corsairs. So during their development, they were great aircraft. These were a lot more powerful in engine strength than the old Hellcats were. And when these came out, they came out as kind of a direct competitor. The gull wing design it's iconic on it because very few planes have this type of gull wing. I know the Stuka does, but very few American planes run it. And the reason why they had it is because the ginormous Pratt & Whitney R2800 in the nose of this thing had a huge prop. And they had to have the gull wings so that way the prop wouldn't be hitting the carrier deck when they took off. Now, originally the Corsair, due to its very long nose and very weirdly designed canopy, didn't have great forward visibility. So it wasn't initially authorized for carrier use, although it was a Navy fighter. So in the early stages of its development and its wartime service, it saw a lot of service with the U.S. Marines, who used it to great effect as both a ground attack aircraft and an interceptor. This thing saw service from the Pacific theater of World War II. I don't know if it saw anything in the European. It might have seen some in like Algeria, maybe. And just a weird front. Clip his wing. But it also saw service in the Korean War. You can see some of its service depicted in the movie Devotion, where it depicts an incident of bombing a bridge on the Yalu River. This incident is notable because of the fact that a pair of F4 Corsair pilots, I think they were designated the F2Gs at that time, ended up taking down one North Korean MiG-7 or MiG-15. Very interesting way that the old Corsairs were used was, you can actually see this in War Thunder as well, with the F4U-1A USMC. When these were initially denied for carrier service because of the tendency of the big engine to flip the plane over and the nose to not be able to see where you're landing, they were given to the USMC, and they arrived on Cactus, also known as Guadalcanal. What the Marines promptly did was they ripped all of the tail hooks out of it and all of the carrier landing stuff that was needed for that type of operation to make them lighter. And the Marines used it to great effect on Cactus, although initially there were some issues, albeit more down to the use of it during the Valentine's Day massacre on Guadalcanal in February on Guadalcanal. The U.S. Naval Corsairs also saw great service during the Okinawa campaign, where they were used by their Navy and Marine counterparts to shoot down enemy kamikaze attacks, including one on one of the most famous destroyers of all time, one of the most famous series of kamikaze attacks on the USS Laffey. Some of you might recognize the name USS Laffey because there was one during the Battle of the Slot, during one of the night battles for the Slot, I might add. The USS Laffey took on a battleship and was promptly sunk, but it did maul one of the Japanese battleships to the point where she had to return to port for repairs. The USS Laffey Part 2 was an Allen M. Sumner class destroyer, and took on no less than, I believe, 100. I believe it shot down like 47 enemy aircraft that day. All of them kamikazes. It took multiple hits from kamikazes and survived and lived to tell the tale. That was in no small part due to a few Marine pilots that happened upon the USS Laffey while she was being marauded by these Japanese kamikaze pilots in F4 Corsairs. If I believe they were the D variant at the time. I'm not going to deal with those yaks. Now, if I'm wrong about any of these numbers, I will try and put an editor's note in. I am running off of the top of my head because this is a live game. This is live commentary. So I'm going to pick up, I think, this Yak 3. This Yak 9 actually is looking a little like he needs some 20 mil cannon rounds. If I don't whiff entirely. The Corsairs were found to be supremely effective against Zeros and other Japanese fighters, especially because the Corsairs' engine performance just flat outperformed them. And especially in high-speed turns and high-speed dives, it performed a whole lot better. The key, as one pilot once stated, was altitude was the determining factor. That whoever was the highest in the engagement start would win. I will try and find his name. I don't remember it off the top of my head. So we talked about the history of the F4 a little bit, and it's not a complete deep dive, as I'd like to do. But that would be a much longer video. So let's talk about how it plays in War Thunder. This is the this is the F4U-4B, meaning this has the better tuned engine. It has a fantastic climb rate. It's pretty good in a turn fight, especially at higher energy, and it packs a nasty punch with 4 M3 20mm cannons. And it gets plenty of ammunition for them. A bonus, a benefit, is also you can switch between your inboards and outboards. Or both. So, in a pinch, you can double your ammo life. Of course, you'll be hitting a lot, not nearly as hard, but sometimes you need to make that trade. And 2 20mm cannons is still pretty dang, it still hits pretty dang hard. So how you fly this thing is you try and climb above 15,000 feet, which in this is not very hard. It's got a fantastic climb rate. And once you are there, you need to pick and choose your engagements. Don't try and engage anything above you. Try and engage things that are far below you. Hinge on that great top speed. I've taken this thing up to 500 knots. It can move. And when it needs to, this thing goes like hell. Yeah, this 109's not going to be anywhere close to me. Now, if you're not bad at the game like I am, you wouldn't miss your shots. And I'm just going to pull up and pull out of this, because I don't want to get into this turn fight. I want to preserve kind of my advantages, which is always going to be altitude. And then I'm going to go down and I'm going to pick my next target. Now this 109 is kind of closing a little bit, but that's fine. I'm going to pick this guy up right off this Spitfire's tail. And absolutely hound him with 20mm cannon shells. Now I'm going to do my next thing, which is I am going to climb away, and I'm going to regain altitude for my next engagement. There is a BF-109 above me, and that does worry me a little bit, but I'm going to try and put distance in between me and him and put altitude in between me and him. Ow. If you hear me saying ow, I have got 2 little kittens that are very, very clawy. They still have their claws in, and they very, very much like to use them on my legs. Why? Couldn't tell you. So we're just gonna sit perched up high, and then we're just gonna start searching for targets. We got the Yak 3, we got a 109 that is currently closing pretty fast. We're gonna kick in some horsepower. And we're just gonna absolutely crush his wing. Kick in more horsepower, go back up. He's severely damaged, he should be going down soon. I got his entire left wing, so he's gonna make that turn, and there he goes. Nope. I guess not. So this Yak 3 is going to be our next suspect. We're going to do a diving attack on him. Make sure to be aware of your surroundings at all times. You don't want something sneaking up on you. And we're just going to dive on this Yak, who is diving on this Zero, who is killing that Zero. Because the Zero was not paying attention. And he's just going to climb. And I'm just going to crump him. Tea and fucking crumpets. As you can see, these 420mm cannons, when aimed correctly, hit very, very hard. I probably hit maybe 4 or 5 rounds into him, and I took both of his wings. Excellent. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go for the next highest target. So Mad Dervish is dead. So our next highest target would probably be... I'm trying to figure out who that'd be. It might just be picking one out. I think I'm going to pick that TU2 up. I'm going to dive and give up a lot of altitude to get him here. But he is on the deck, and I would like him dead. Unless that F-82 can't manage to shake that HE-162 off of him. Which it doesn't look like he can. Now, where'd this TU2 go? There he is. Continue on my attack run on this TU2. Now I do have to mine the canyon walls. Good crit. I'm starting to redline on speed. I just need to pull hard just to pull out of this dive. This P-38 is going for my prey currently. And he is missing. Oh, there he goes. So we're going to put this back into a climb, get some more altitude, and hunt for the next target. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, that will be all. Thank you for watching. I will see you guys next time. Make sure to check out my socials, and make sure to check out my Twitch at the same name. I will be live at 8 o'clock tonight. Thank you for watching. Thank you for sticking around. I hope to see you next time. Bye.